Paco, I hope I can call you that.
Yes,
we've
please.
known each other for a long time.
Yes.
I've also known you as the CEO of Carmen's Best Ice Cream, but you have this new role where you'll take a more hands-on approach in what your company creates. Can you tell us about this?
Yes, well, since the buy-in of Metro Pacific in our company, they've asked me to head the research and development role, product development role.
So, Paco, I remember, if I remember correctly, Metro Pacific came in with 51%, and then you retained 49%, or your family. Can you tell us what's new now with Ice Cream's Best, and maybe what we can expect?
Okay, actually there were three entities that they bought into. We just consolidated the three, which is the dairy farm.
This is in Bai.
In Bai, Laguna. The dairy farm, the dairy processing, and the ice cream processing.
Okay.
So we consolidated the three companies, and then they bought in 51% of that new entity.
All right. The Bai farm, does that include the property as well? Was that part of the package, or?
It's pretty much a long-term lease that we have.
Okay.
We don't own the whole property.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
So what's going to be visibly different from Carmen's Best, or maybe visibly from the perspective of those working there?
Well, there's talk that there might be a consolidation of the brands.
Okay.
So they've ran a study as to which brand is most likely that will be retained and will be pushed in the future, whether it's Holly's Milk or Carmen's Best.
All right.
And it'll be a one-brand company moving forward.
Right.
Dairy company.
So you're looking at specializing, with Carmen's Best as
Yes.
your showcase product.
Yes. So the ice cream being a premium product and has a special market niche, and hopefully we can get into other dairy products and also cater to that same market.
I see.
Yeah.
Before the entry of Metro Pacific, are you at liberty to tell us how big the company was, and are you looking at maybe adding, because I was looking at some of your interviews, obviously during the pandemic.
Yes.
I think you were sharing your experience on how you pivoted during the pandemic. You had to let some people go, but for a time you were paying them their full salary,
Yes.
even though they were working, right? But what, just before and now, right?
Well, we also had to close our shop in Alabang. We had a scooping station, and we had to look at doing other products aside from just the ice cream and the milk on my father's side.
Right.
But it was a very difficult time. I think the lockdown made you realize how different things were going to be moving forward. And the scary part about it was you didn't know how long the lockdown was going to last,
Exactly.
So it was really a matter of acting fast and adjusting to what was going on at that moment. And a lot of the airlines and hotels and restaurants,
Your main customers.
our main customers,
Yeah.
slowed down or they shut down for a while.
The same thing with our business. We couldn't fly our papers to Visayas and Mindanao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really affected us, as it did affect you guys too, and a lot of other industries. No? So we had to adjust and find out if we can come up with other dairy products that we could also sell, because we were not running our plant anymore 5-6 days of the week. We were running it down to 2-3 days of the week. And yes,
Of course,
we were paying,
0 days during the lockdown.
Yes,
Yeah.
So it was really a huge adjustment, and there were times when I was thinking like, okay, I guess maybe the run's over and this is it, And it was really stressful in a sense that you were sad to let people go if you had to close down,
Right.
or where were they gonna go,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it came to the point where you're thinking that maybe it's time to shut the business,
Well, it wouldn't have been bad because you started, I believe, in 2011.
Yes.
So you had more than a decade's run, and a successful one at that. But the negotiations with Metro Pacific, did that precede the pandemic, or did that happen in the middle of it, or how much can you tell us about the deal that went on?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that question
Okay.
because no one's really asked that.
Okay.
And it started actually when in the wake of Pinoy,
Okay.
because Babe Singson, who was the DPWH
Okay.
of Pinoy,
Yes.
who also is one of the advisors of Metro Pacific,
Okay.
was in the wake.
Okay.
And as we were standing, my father and I were standing behind Babes, he turns around and he says, Senator June, Sir MVP wants to inquire about Carmen's Best. And you're in a wake, so you're not really thinking.
You're not in a mindset to do a business deal.
What? What's happening here? And you're under the sun, and well, okay, we'll touch base after the wake and all that, and so we did reach out to him, and we were meeting with them a few times before the lockdown at the Cojuangco building in Makati. Of course, we were all masked up and
Right.
very, very careful about getting close to other people. And we decided to take the next step and see if there would be a fit, because the offer was not for a buyout. The offer was to come in and join us.
I see.
So they liked how we were doing things. They liked the direction where we were going.
Right.
And they wanted to retain the quality. They wanted to retain sort of the DNA of the company.
Okay.
So they just wanted to be part of it.
And that's you. I mean,
And
when
that's
you
me.
talk, we talk about the DNA of the company, that's entirely you. Not
Yes.
probably not even your dad. I mean,
Yeah.
I love your dad and all, but Carmen's Best was your baby,
Yes. So
named after your baby.
after my baby girl, Carmen, who's not a baby
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah, so the offer was really to buy in as a
Right.
partner and not to buy us out 100%.
Right. Well, did that come at a time when you were sort of looking already for a partner? I know the pandemic was tough.
Yeah.
But did the pandemic create a situation where you would be more receptive to coming, talking to a partner? I know you and I share many things, right? And then I know what it's like working for you, and I know what it's like working
Family.
for your father.
That's right.
Right? And so partnerships sometimes is a delicate subject
Yes.
to discuss. I know it is in Manila times.
Yeah.
Was that an issue, or was it just good timing that everyone's primed to consider that possibility?
I think it was a good thing that it was not in the horizon for us.
Okay.
We were not thinking about it. It was
Okay.
never discussed.
Okay.
There have been people who have approached us, but we
Okay.
felt that maybe it wasn't the right time. And then when the pandemic hit, it just totally changed everything.
Right.
It's like you were scrambling to survive, the
Right,
survival
right.
mode.
Right.
So thinking of getting a partner at that time was not something that even entered our mind.
Right.
So when that situation came up, we got to talk about it briefly, and we had dealt with Mr. Pangilinan in the past, and we felt that he was a very fair person and
Right.
very grounded and down to
Right.
earth. We decided to see where it was going to go.
Right.
And I think anyone who will get into agriculture type business and go natural is not looking for big profit.
Okay.
I think big profit comes in when you're doing more mass market stuff.
Right.
You're playing with ingredients.
Right.
But when you're doing natural stuff, you're doing things the proper way, then you know that it's not a very big margin business.
Okay.
It's a business where you really more want to help people, helping the farmers and helping just people on the ground.
Yeah.
And I feel that he has the same mindset as my father when they first got into
Your father, of
farming.
course, former Senator June Magsaysay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So when he put up the dairy farm in 2007 with his friends, Mr. Ray David, Mr. Ralph Casino, and Tito Danny Di Mayuga, they really wanted to stimulate the rural economy. So we put up a dairy farm in Bai, Laguna, and to see where it was going to go. And good thing it lasted, this long, and it hopefully gets bigger.
Right, right. So, in retaining a DNA, And then, of course, you have this now infusion of, I suppose, equity, right? And how do you plan to move forward? I think during the pandemic, I was watching some of the interviews you were doing online. You were still doing business in Singapore, I believe, and you were quite optimistic that demand was still robust for at least Carmen's Best. I'm not sure about the other products that you were dealing with, but for Carmen's Best, you were quite confident that it could stand its ground against Häagen-Dazs and I forget the other ice cream brands. Movenpick in Singapore. Yeah.
So for us, we were exporting ice cream to Singapore from December of 2019 to I think June or July of 2021. So it was over a year and a half.
Okay.
And we were creating a niche in Singapore. And nobody knows who Carmen is there. Nobody knows Paco Magsaysay there.
Right.
And it boils down to quality.
Right.
And with the way we make our ice cream is the best way we can make it. We don't cut corners. So whatever we're producing here, we were sending it to Singapore. Sadly, I think the rent of our distributor in Singapore just caught up with him and he had to close shop.
Everybody was affected.
Yes. But I think moving forward, I mean, it shows Metro Pacific that we can go to other countries in Southeast Asia or even the Middle East.
Yeah. So very quick before we go on a break, what can we expect? Are you looking at an expansion in Singapore, new markets, domestic expansion? What are we looking at?
Well, now that I've got a lot of people working with me, we can do a lot of things at the same time.
You can do interviews.
We can do all these things at the same time, whereas before we had to choose what we had to do.
Right.
And because we're a bigger team now and, we all have a common goal, which is to grow the company. I think it's going to be exciting because we can cover more bases, with this structure that we have now.
So I'm trying to pull some more information from you. Are we going to see Carmen's Best in more countries other than Singapore?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, Singapore, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asian countries, and also the Middle East.
Exciting. All right. Well, please stay with us. You're watching SMNI's Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klink. We'll be right back.